Captain Juan stood on the bridge of the human ship New Dawn, watching the massive alien vessel approach through the viewing window. After 300 years of space travel, humanity had finally met someone else among the stars. The alien ship was beautiful, all smooth curves and soft lights like a giant pearl floating in space. "They're requesting permission to come aboard," said Nari, the ship's tactical officer. She was a small woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panel. "Granted," Juan said. He had commanded ships for 20 years, but this was different. This was history. "Tell them we welcome them to our ship." The alien delegation arrived in a small craft that made no sound. Juan watched them through the docking bay cameras. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large eyes. They moved slowly, carefully, like they were walking through water. Juan walked to the docking bay with his crew. Nari walked beside him, her hand resting casually on her sidearm. Behind them came Minho, the chief engineer, a quiet man who could fix anything with his hands. The aliens stepped out of their ship. Their leader was the tallest, wearing robes that seemed to shift color in the light. When he spoke, his voice came through a translation device that made him sound like he was singing. "I am Thrix of the Valerian people," the alien said. "We represent the Galactic Federation. We welcome your species to the community of civilized worlds." "I'm Captain Juan," the human replied. "We're honored to meet you." Thrix smiled, showing small, flat teeth. "Your species is young in space travel. This is wonderful. We will help you learn the ways of peaceful civilization." Juan nodded, but something in the alien's tone bothered him. It sounded like an adult talking to a child. Behind Thrix stood another alien, this one wearing what looked like military clothing. His name was Voss, and his large eyes kept moving around the room, studying everything. "Come," Juan said. "Let me show you our ship." They walked through the corridors of the New Dawn. The aliens moved carefully, their big eyes taking in everything. They stopped when they saw the exercise room, where some crew members were working out. "What are they doing?" Thrix asked, watching two humans practicing martial arts. "Training," Nari explained. "We need to stay strong during long space flights." The aliens watched as the humans moved. One threw the other to the ground, then helped him up. They were both smiling and breathing hard. "They fight each other for enjoyment?" Voss asked. His voice sounded worried. "It's sport," Minho said. "Competition makes us better." The aliens looked at each other. Thrix made a note on a small device he carried. They continued the tour. In the dining hall, the aliens asked about human food. The cook, a cheerful woman named Sora, brought out various dishes to show them. "This is beef," she said, pointing to a piece of meat. "From cattle we raise on Earth." "You consume other living creatures?" Thrix asked. "Of course," Juan said. "Don't you?" "The Valerians eat only plants," Thrix said slowly. "We have evolved beyond the need to take life for sustenance." There was an awkward silence. Sora put the meat away quickly. "We also eat plants," Nari said, trying to be helpful. "Lots of vegetables and fruits." "But you prefer the flesh of animals," Voss said. It wasn't a question. "We need both," Juan explained. "Humans are omnivores." The aliens made more notes on their devices. Later they gathered in the conference room. Thrix explained how the Galactic Federation worked. There were hundreds of species, all living in peace. Wars were rare. Most problems were solved by talking. "How long does it take for a species to join?" Juan asked. "Usually about 300 of your years," Thrix said. "First we study your culture. Then we slowly introduce you to our technology and ways of thinking. It's a careful process." 300 years, Nari repeated. "Young species often make mistakes," Voss explained. "They can be dangerous if they advance too quickly." Juan felt his jaw tighten. "Dangerous how?" "Some species have aggressive tendencies," Thrix said gently. "They think violence solves problems. We help them learn better ways." The room grew quiet. Juan looked at his crew. Nari's eyes had gone cold. Minho was studying his hands. What if we don't want to wait 300 years? Juan asked. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. All species must follow the proper procedures, Voss said. For the safety of everyone. Safety from what? Nari asked. Her voice was calm, but Juan could hear the edge in it. From misunderstandings, Thrick said quickly. From accidents. That evening, after the aliens had returned to their ship, Juan met with his senior officers. The mood in the room was tense. They think we're dangerous, Nari said. Did you see how they looked at us during combat training? They're afraid of us, Minho added quietly. I could see it in their eyes. Juan nodded. He had noticed it too. The way the aliens had stepped back when humans moved too quickly. The way they had stared at human teeth when they smiled. The shock on their faces when they learned humans ate meat. Maybe they're right to be afraid, said Commander Jiho, the ship's security chief. He was a big man with scars on his hands from old fights. We did spend thousands of years killing each other. That's behind us now, Juan said. Is it? Jiho asked. When those aliens looked at us, what do you think they saw? Juan thought about it. Humans stood differently than the aliens. They moved with purpose, with confidence. Their eyes tracked movement automatically. When they smiled, they showed teeth that were designed to tear meat. They saw predators, Nari said quietly. The word hung in the air like a challenge. So what? If they did? Minho said. We're not the same humans who fought wars on Earth. We've evolved. We're better now. Have we? Jiho asked. Or have we just found better reasons to fight? The next day, the aliens requested another meeting. This time, they brought more people. Scientists, diplomats, and what looked like guards, though they called them peacekeepers. Thrick seemed nervous. We have been discussing your species, he said. You are unique. How so? Juan asked. Most species that reach the stars are peaceful by nature, a new alien explained. This one was blue and looked like a fish that had learned to walk. They explore space to find knowledge, to meet friends, to trade. Don't we want the same things? Nari asked. Perhaps, Thrick said, but your reasons are different. You explore space because because we hunt, Voss finished. You treat space like hunting ground. The humans looked at each other. Was that true? Juan thought about why humanity had come to the stars. To find new worlds, to claim territory, to expand the human sphere of influence. That's not hunting, Juan said. That's exploration. Is there a difference? Asked the fish-like alien. You send scouts ahead to find targets. You plan your approach carefully. You move in groups to support each other. You mark territory and defend it. The description made Juan uncomfortable because it was accurate. We're not hunting you, Minho said. Not yet, Voss replied. The meeting ended badly. The aliens said they needed time to think. They would send their report to the Federation Council. A decision would be made about humanity's future among the stars. That night, Juan stood alone on the bridge, looking out at the alien ship. It was beautiful, peaceful, everything humanity claimed to want. But he could see weapon ports along its hull, hidden among the decorations. Even these peaceful aliens prepared for war. The difference was that they were afraid of it. Humans weren't. Nari joined him at the window. What do you think will happen? She asked. They'll try to control us, Juan said. Keep us on a leash until they're sure we're safe. Are we safe? Juan thought about Earth's history, about the wars, the competition, the drive to be the best, the strongest, the fastest, about the human need to push boundaries and test limits. No, he said finally. I don't think we are. Good, Nari said, surprising him. Safe species don't survive in a dangerous universe. She was right. Space was huge and dark and full of unknowns. It would take a certain kind of species to thrive. Out here. The kind that adapted quickly, that fought hard, that never gave up. The kind that hunted. As if reading his thoughts, Nari added, the question isn't whether we're dangerous. The question is what we're going to do about it. Juan looked at the alien ship again. Soon the galaxy would have to answer that question too. 3 months had passed since first contact with the Galactic Federation. The aliens had been polite but distant, like adults watching dangerous children play with toys. Now, humanity had been invited to join a research mission to prove they could work peacefully with other species. The mission was simple: survey a planet in the Shadowlands sector, collect samples, and return safely. The planet was called Keth 7, and it was supposed to be uninhabited. The Federation had been wrong before. Xenobiologist Gina stood in the shuttle bay of the Federation ship Gentle Current, checking her equipment one last time. She was young for such an important mission, but she knew more about alien life than anyone else on Earth. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her movements were quick and efficient. "Nervous?" asked Quill, the Valerian scientist assigned to work with her. He was tall and thin like all his people, with pale blue skin and those large gentle eyes. "Excited," Gina replied, which wasn't entirely true. She had read the reports about Keth 7. 3 Federation expeditions had gone missing there. The planet was classified as extremely dangerous, but nobody knew why. The shuttle launched with 12 passengers, 6 humans, 6 aliens. The aliens included Quill, 2 Zephyrian aquatic specialists who wore water suits, and 3 Federation security officers who looked like they had never seen real combat. The humans were different. Besides Jaina, there was Taiho, a geologist who had served in the Earth Defense Force before becoming a scientist. He was quiet and careful, but his eyes never stopped moving. Then there was Suna, the team's survival expert. She was small and moved like a dancer, but Gina had seen her training records. Suna could kill with her bare hands if needed. The other 3 humans were technical specialists, but they had all been chosen for more than their skills. Each had military training. Each could fight. "Why do humans always expect trouble?" Quill asked as the shuttle approached Keth 7. "Because there usually is trouble," Taiho replied simply. The planet looked beautiful from space. Green forests, blue oceans, white clouds. It could have been Earth's sister world. The shuttle landed in a clearing near what looked like ruins of an ancient city. "Scans show no large life forms," announced the pilot, a Federation officer named Breck. "The area appears safe." The team set up base camp quickly. The Federation members worked slowly and carefully, following precise procedures. The humans worked fast, their movements coordinated without words. They had their camp defensive positions established before the aliens had finished unpacking their equipment. "You work like soldiers," observed one of the Zephyrians. "We work like humans," Suna replied. The first day went well. They collected samples, mapped the ruins, and found evidence of an ancient civilization. The Federation scientists were excited by the discovery. The humans were worried by what had happened to whoever built the city. On the second day, they found the bones. The skeletons were scattered throughout the ruins, half buried by centuries of growth. Some were clearly the remains of the city's original inhabitants. Others were more recent, wearing Federation uniforms. "The missing expeditions," Quill whispered, his large eyes wide with fear. Gina knelt beside one of the skeletons. The bones showed strange marks like they had been gnawed by something with very sharp teeth. "What could do this?" she asked. "We should leave," said Breck. "Contact the fleet and request immediate evacuation." "We've barely started our research," Taiho said. "The research isn't worth dying for," Quill replied. That's when they heard the howl. It came from the forest, long and haunting. It was answered by another howl from a different direction. Then another. "Pack hunters," Suna said quietly. She was already checking her weapons. The Federation officers looked confused. "Pack what?" "They hunt in groups," Gina explained. "Like wolves, they're surrounding us." The aliens looked terrified. Their large eyes darted around the camp, searching the forest for threats they couldn't see. "We need to get back to the shuttle," Breck said. "Too late," Taiho replied. He was studying tracks in the soft earth around the camp. "They're already between us and the ship." The first attack came at sunset. The creatures burst from the forest like living shadows. They were the size of large dogs, but moved like cats, silent and deadly. Their teeth gleamed white in the fading light. The Federation security officers froze. They had weapons, but seemed unable to use them. The creatures moved too fast, too unpredictably. The humans reacted differently. Suna rolled behind cover and started shooting. Her movements were smooth and calm. Each shot found its target. Taiho grabbed a piece of fallen stone and threw it with deadly accuracy, stunning one creature long enough to shoot it. Jaina had her rifle up and was firing controlled bursts, calling out positions to the others. "Left flank, 2 more coming," she shouted. The other 3 humans moved to support positions without being told. They had never worked together before, but they fought like they had trained as a team for years. The attack lasted only minutes. When it was over, 6 creatures lay dead around the camp. The humans were already checking for wounded and securing the perimeter. The alien stared at them in shock. "How did you know what to do?" Quill asked. "Training," Suna replied, but that wasn't the whole truth. Humans had hunted in packs for thousands of years before they built cities. The instincts were still there. "We need to move," Taiho said. "There will be more." "The shuttle is 2 kilometers through hostile territory," Breck protested. "Then we make it unhostile," Jaina said grimly. What followed was something the aliens had never seen before. The humans didn't just try to survive. They went hunting. They spent the night building weapons from salvaged materials and studying the creatures they had killed. They learned how the pack hunters moved, where they were likely to strike, what scared them. "They're ambush predators," Jaina explained to the group. "But they're not used to prey that fights back effectively." "What are you suggesting?" Quill asked. "We turn the tables," Suna said. "We hunt them." The aliens were horrified. "We should hide, wait for rescue." "Rescue could take days," Taiho pointed out. "We don't have enough food or ammunition to wait." "So we eliminate the threat," Jaina said. The humans moved out before dawn. They left the aliens in a defensive position with instructions to signal if rescue arrived. The Federation officers protested, but the humans ignored them. What happened next would be talked about in Federation records for years to come. The humans didn't just fight the creatures. They systematically hunted them down. They used traps, ambushes, and coordinated attacks. They studied the pack hunters' behavior and turned it against them. Suna could move through the forest without making a sound. She would get behind the creatures and drive them toward the others. Taiho had found the pack's den and sealed the exits, forcing them to fight in the open. Jaina used her knowledge of animal behavior to predict where they would go. By the time the rescue ship arrived 3 days later, the humans had killed over 30 of the creatures. The forest around the camp was safe for the first time in decades. The aliens couldn't understand it. "You didn't just survive," Quill said to Jaina as they waited to board the rescue shuttle. "You thrived. You seemed to enjoy it." Jaina thought about that. Had she enjoyed it? The hunt, the challenge, the satisfaction of outsmarting dangerous prey? "Maybe we did," she admitted. "Why?" Quill asked. "Why does violence make you happy?" "It's not violence that makes us happy," Jaina tried to explain. "It's winning. It's being better than what threatens us. The Valerians evolved from creatures that hid when predators came," Quill said quietly. "We learned that the best way to survive was to be invisible, to avoid conflict. Humans evolved from creatures that couldn't hide," Jaina replied. "We were too slow to run, too weak to fight fair. So we learned to be smarter. We learned to work together. We learned to hunt things bigger and more dangerous than we were." The rescue ship's captain was a Federation admiral named Korvek. He read their report in silence, his tentacles twitching with what might have been nervousness. "In 3 days you eliminated a threat that has killed dozens of Federation personnel over the past decade," he said finally. "We did what was necessary," Taiho replied. "You did what no one else could do," Korvek corrected. "The Federation has classified Keth 7 as a death world. We were planning to mark it off limits permanently." "It's not a death world anymore," Suna said. Admiral Korvek looked at the humans with something that might have been fear. "No," he agreed. I don't suppose it is. Later in private, Quill asked Gina a question that bothered him. When you were hunting those creatures, did you think about the fact that they were just trying to survive? That they had families, cubs, to feed? Gina considered the question seriously. Yes, she said finally. But they were trying to kill us. When something threatens your pack, you eliminate the threat. It's not personal. It's just what you do. Even if the threat has feelings, even if it's just following its nature. Especially then, Gina replied. Nature doesn't care about feelings, only results. Quill made another note in his report. The Federation would want to know everything about this mission, about how humans had turned a death world into a safe place in just 3 days, about how they had done it not through superior technology or numbers, but through something much more frightening, through the simple, terrifying efficiency of the apex predator. The emergency session of the Galactic Federation Council was unlike anything in their 1,000-year history. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Hall on New Geneva Station, their voices creating a symphony of worry and fear. Chancellor Stepp stood at the center podium, his forearms gesturing dramatically as he spoke. The Krathan Empire has rejected our final peace offer. They are moving toward Kepler 442b with a full invasion fleet. Murmurs of distress rippled through the assembly. Kepler 442b was home to 12 million Altarians, a gentle people who had never known war. Their world produced the medicinal crystals that healed dozens of species across the galaxy. Our defensive fleets are in position, reported Admiral Korvek, his tentacles dark with stress. But intelligence suggests the Krathan outnumber us 3-1. Surely they will listen to reason, said Ambassador Lith, her crystalline form sparkling with hope. No species would destroy such a beautiful world. The Krathan don't negotiate, Stepp replied grimly. They take what they want and destroy what resists. We have 48 hours before their fleet reaches Kepler 442b. In the back of the hall, Admiral Young-Ho sat quietly among the human delegation. He was a compact man with silver hair and calm eyes that had seen too much war. Around him, the other species debated evacuation plans and surrender terms. What about asking the humans for help? A voice called out. It was Quill, the Valerian scientist who had survived the Keth 7 mission. The hall fell silent. Every eye turned toward the human section. The humans? Stepp's voice carried clear doubt. They have 12 ships. What could they possibly do against a Krathan battle fleet? Young-Ho stood slowly. When he spoke, his voice carried the quiet authority of someone who had commanded in real battles. We could try. Try what? Demanded General Voss. The Krathan have conquered 17 worlds. Their warriors are bred for war. They eat their enemies. So do we, Young-Ho replied simply. The words sent a chill through the assembly. Most Federation species had forgotten that humans were predators. The reports from Keth 7 had been classified, shared only with a few high-ranking officials. The Federation appreciates your offer, Stepp said carefully. But this is not a job for explorers. Young-Ho smiled, and several aliens in the front rows shifted uncomfortably. Human smiles showed teeth. Mr. Chancellor, we're not explorers. We're what happens when predators learn to fly between stars. 6 hours later, the human fleet arrived at Kepler 442b. 12 ships against 300. The Federation observers called it suicide. The humans called it Tuesday. Admiral Young-Ho stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching the Krathan fleet on his tactical display. The Krathan were massive, powerful beings who looked like armored bears walking upright. Their ships were built for intimidation, covered in spikes and weapon ports. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Krathan commander, reported Lieutenant Nari, who had transferred from Captain Juan's ship to serve under Young-Ho. Put it through. The face that appeared on screen was terrifying. Scales, fangs, and eyes like burning coals. I am War Chief Garzak of the Krathan Empire. You will surrender your ships or be destroyed. I'm Admiral Young-Ho of the Earth Fleet. You will turn around and leave this system. Garzak laughed, a sound like breaking glass. 12 ships against 300, you are either very brave or very stupid. Both, Young-ho admitted. It's a human thing. The Krathen commander leaned forward. I have heard of your species. Small, weak creatures who think they are warriors. I will enjoy adding your skulls to my collection. You're welcome to try, Young-ho said calmly. But I should warn you, humans collect skulls too, we're just better at it. The transmission ended. Around the bridge, the human crew prepared for battle with the same efficiency they brought to everything else. No dramatic speeches, no fear, just professionals doing their job. All ships report ready, announced Commander Borum from the tactical station. She was a tall woman with scars on her neck from old battles. Weapons hot, engines online. Sir, called Lieutenant Jiho from communications, the Federation fleet is pulling back to minimum safe distance. Young-ho nodded. He had expected that. The Federation fought defensive wars, not offensive ones. They didn't understand what the humans were about to do. The Krathen fleet moved forward in a massive wall of ships. It was an impressive sight, designed to terrify enemies into surrender. Against most species, it worked. All ships, execute Phoenix Protocol, Young-ho ordered quietly. What happened next had never been seen in galactic warfare. The human fleet didn't meet the Krathen head-on. Instead, they scattered like startled fish, moving at maximum speed in seemingly random directions. The Federation observers thought they were fleeing. The Krathen thought so too. Garzak ordered his ships to pursue, confident that the humans would be easy prey once caught. They were wrong. The human ships weren't running. They were hunting. Lieutenant Colonel Borum commanded the first strike group from her ship Incheon's Hammer. Her 3 ships hit the Krathen left flank at full speed, weapons blazing. But they didn't stay to fight. They struck hard and fast, then disappeared into the asteroid field that surrounded Kepler 442b. The Krathen turned to pursue, but Borum was already gone. Her ships used the asteroids for cover, appearing just long enough to fire, then vanishing again. Meanwhile, Major Jiho led another group in a hit-and-run attack on the Krathen supply ships. The humans had studied Krathen tactics for weeks. They knew the aliens relied on massive, heavily armed vessels that needed constant resupply. Target their fuel tankers first, Jiho ordered. No fuel, no fight. His pilots were the best Earth had trained. They flew like artists, dancing between enemy fire, striking precisely where it would hurt most. Each attack lasted seconds, but each one left Krathen ships damaged or destroyed. The Federation observers watched in amazement. They're not fighting a battle, Admiral Korvek reported to the Council. They're conducting a hunt. On his flagship, War Chief Garzak was growing frustrated. The humans refused to stand and fight. They hit and ran, struck from unexpected angles, used every piece of cover in the system. Cowards, he roared. Face us like warriors. But the humans weren't being cowardly. They were being smart. Every species in the galaxy fought according to their nature. The Krathen fought like the apex. Predators they were, direct, brutal, overwhelming. Humans had learned to hunt creatures bigger and stronger than themselves. They used tools, tactics, and teamwork to bring down prey that could kill them in a fair fight. This wasn't a fair fight. Admiral Young-ho watched the tactical display as his ship systematically dismantled the Krathen fleet. His captains reported, their strikes with calm professionalism. Supply depot destroyed, command ship disabled, 3 escort destroyers eliminated. The Krathen were brave, but bravery meant nothing when your enemy refused to let you use your strengths. The humans attacked communications arrays, leaving Krathen squadrons isolated and confused. They targeted engines, leaving enemy ships stranded and helpless. They struck at fuel lines, ammunition stores, life support systems. They're not trying to win a battle, observed the Federation military analyst. They're trying to destroy the enemy's ability to fight. 4 hours into the engagement, something unprecedented happened. The Krathen began to retreat. These were warriors who had never known defeat, who considered dying in battle the highest honor. But the humans had turned the fight into something alien to them, a systematic dismantling rather than a glorious clash. War Chief Garzak's flagship was surrounded, its escorts destroyed, its weapons offline. A human boarding party had somehow gotten aboard and was systematically taking control of his ship. Colonel Borum led the assault team through the Krathen vessel. The aliens were huge and dangerous, but they fought like individuals. The humans moved as a unit, covering each other, advancing methodically through the ship. When Borum reached the bridge, she found Garzak waiting for her with his personal guard. The war chief was even more impressive in person, 3 meters tall, armed with weapons that could cut through steel. "I challenge you to single combat," he declared. "Winner takes all." Borum looked at him for a moment, then raised her rifle and shot him. The Krathen guard stared in shock. Where was the honor? Where was the ceremony? "Single combat is for sports," Borum explained to the dying war chief. "This is war." The remaining Krathen fleet jumped to hyperspace 20 minutes later. They left behind 47 destroyed ships, and the burning wreckage of their reputation. The Federation fleet approached cautiously, unable to believe what they had witnessed. 12 human ships had defeated 300 Krathen vessels with minimal losses. "How?" Chancellor Zetep asked when he met with Admiral Young-ho. "How did you do it?" "We fought like humans," Young-ho replied. "Not like Krathen. But they were superior, in every way. Numbers, firepower, armor. They were superior at their kind of fighting," Young-ho agreed. "But we didn't fight their kind of fight. We fought ours." Ambassador Lith, her crystalline form dim with shock, asked the question everyone was thinking. "What kind of species are you?" Young-ho looked out at the stars, where human ships were already patrolling the system, making sure no Krathen had stayed behind. "The kind that wins," he said simply. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. The research station on Vega Prime was supposed to be neutral ground. Scientists from across the galaxy came here to study, to learn, to share knowledge in peace. But peace was becoming rare these days, 6 months after the humans had defeated the Krathen Empire. Dr. Heejin walked through the station's main corridor, aware of the whispers that followed her. Other beings stepped aside when she approached, their large eyes watching her with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She was used to it by now. Being human had become both a blessing and a curse among the stars. She found her research partner Liz in the xenobiology lab. The Valerian scientist was hunched over a display showing brain scans from dozens of species. "Any progress on the predator study?" Yejin asked. Liz looked up with those big, gentle eyes that all Valerians had. "I think I understand why everyone is so frightened of your people," she said quietly. Yejin sat down beside her friend. Over the past months, they had been studying the brain patterns of different species, trying to understand what made some creatures hunters and others prey. "Show me," Yejin said. Liz activated a holographic display. Brain scans appeared in the air, color-coded by species. "This is a Valerian brain," she said, pointing to a blue-tinted image. "See how large the areas for social cooperation are? And how small the aggression centers. You evolved as herd animals," Heejin observed. "Exactly. When danger came, we grouped together and ran. Survival through cooperation and avoidance." Liz switched to another brain scan. "This is a Krathen brain. Large aggression centers, but also large areas for dominance, hierarchy, and ritual behavior. They fight, but they follow rules," Heejin said. "Yes, even their warfare follows patterns. Challenge, combat, victory, submission." Liz paused before showing the next scan. "This is a human brain." Heejin stared at the image. The aggression centers were large, but not the largest she had seen. What struck her was something else entirely. "The pattern recognition areas," she whispered. "Massive," Liz confirmed. "Larger than any other species we've studied. And look at this." She highlighted another section. "The areas responsible for persistence, for continuing behavior even under stress. We don't give up," Heejin said. "Ever. Your brains are wired to keep hunting until the prey is caught, no matter how long it takes." Liz switched to a comparison view showing all the species side by side. Most predators hunt until they're tired, or until easier prey comes along. Humans hunt until they succeed or die. The implications were terrifying. Heejin thought about Earth's history, about how her ancestors had tracked wounded animals across continents, following them for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. "There's more," Liz said. She activated another display showing neural pathway maps. Human brains are uniquely adapted for what your scientists call persistence hunting. You can track prey not just physically, but mentally. You build models of how your target thinks, what it will do next. "We hunt minds," Hyejin said, the words feeling strange in her mouth. "Yes, and that's why everyone is afraid." A chime indicated someone was entering the lab. Captain Wook stepped through the door, still wearing his exploration uniform. He was young for a starship captain, but he had the same calm confidence that all humans seem to possess. "Dr. Hyejin, we found something you need to see." An hour later, Hyejin stood in the cargo bay of Wook's ship, the Persistence, staring at the most important discovery in galactic history. The artifact was clearly ancient, a crystalline data storage device that hummed with residual energy. "We found it in the ruins on Kepler 438c, Wook explained. "The dating suggests it's over 50,000 years old." "Any species could have left this," said the Zephyrian scientist who had come to examine the find. His name was Bubble Song, and his aquatic suit made soft whooshing sounds when he moved. "The markings suggest otherwise," Hyejin replied. She had been studying the symbols carved into the crystal's surface. They were primitive but clear, stick figures showing bipedal creatures with tools, hunting much larger animals. "A hunting record?" Liz asked. "Maybe. Or maybe something more." Hyejin activated her translation program and fed it the symbol patterns. "These aren't just hunting scenes. They're tactical diagrams. This creature here," she pointed to a series of marks, "is showing others how to surround and trap prey." The translation program chimed, indicating it had found linguistic patterns. Text began scrolling across Hyejin's display. "What does it say?" Wook asked. Hyejin's face went pale as she read. "It's a warning. From a species called the Kel-Taran." She looked up at the group. They were persistence hunters like humans. "Were?" Bubblesong asked. "According to this, they were wiped out by an alliance of prey species. The galaxy united against them 50,000 years ago." Hyejin continued reading. "The Kel-Taran had reached the stars just like us. They were expanding, claiming new worlds, hunting across space itself." The cargo bay fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. "What happened to them?" Liz whispered. Hyejin found the relevant passage. "The Alliance didn't just defeat them, they erased them. Every Kel-Taran world was sterilized, every ship destroyed, every record of their culture eliminated." She paused. "This crystal survived because it was left as a warning for future generations." "A warning about what?" Wook asked. "About what happens when persistence hunters reach the stars." Hyejin read from the crystal. "When the long hunters fly between worlds, all prey must unite, or all prey will die." Captain Wook's communication device chimed with an urgent message. He listened for a moment, then looked up with grim expression. "We need to get back to Federation space immediately," he said. "Something's happening." The return journey took 3 days. During that time, news reached them from across the galaxy. The Preservation Coalition had formed officially, 27 species united by their fear of humanity. "They're demanding that humans be quarantined to the Sol system," reported Lieutenant Minho from the communications station. "No human ships allowed beyond Earth's solar system." "On what grounds?" Wook asked. "They're calling us a galactic threat, a species too dangerous to be allowed free movement among civilized worlds." Hyejin wasn't surprised. The discovery of the Kel-Taran records had confirmed what many species already suspected. Humans were the same type of predator that had once terrorized the galaxy. "Sir," Minho continued, "there's more. Several species are refusing to trade with human colonies. Our supply lines are being cut. They're trying to starve us out," Wook observed. "It gets worse. The Altarians have requested Federation protection from human occupation of their space. They claim our presence makes them uncomfortable." Hyejin laughed bitterly. "We saved their world from the Krathen 6 months ago. Apparently they're more afraid of their saviors than they were of their would-be conquerors," Wook replied. When they reached Vega Prime, the situation became clear. The research station was divided into two sections now, one for coalition species, one for humans, and their few remaining allies. Armed guards stood at the checkpoints. Dr. Hijin called a familiar voice. It was Quill, the Valerian scientist who had survived Keth 7 with her. But he wasn't alone. A group of coalition security officers stood behind him. "Hello, Quill," she said carefully. "I'm sorry," he said, and he seemed to mean it. "The coalition has voted to restrict human access to shared research facilities. Your work on predator psychology has been classified as dangerous to galactic peace." "Dangerous how?" "You're teaching other species to think like hunters," one of the security officers said. He was a Rigelian, his crystal-like body flickering with agitated colors. "Your research could destabilize the peaceful order we've maintained for thousands of years." Hijin looked at her life's work being packed away by alien security forces. "Understanding how predators think doesn't make you one, doesn't it?" the Rigelian challenged. "The Krathen studied your tactics after their defeat. They're restructuring their entire military based on human methods." That was news to Hijin. "I thought the Krathen Empire collapsed after Kepler 442b. It did. But something worse is rising from its ashes. The Krathen are learning to think like humans, to hunt like humans. The implications hit her like a physical blow. If other species started adopting human methods, the galaxy could become a hunting ground where everyone was both predator and prey. "That's not our fault," she protested. "Isn't it?" Quill asked sadly. "Before humans arrived, warfare was ritualized, limited. Species fought according to established rules. You've shown them that rules are for prey." Later that evening, Hyejin met with Captain Wook and Dr. Liss in the human section of the station. The area was nearly empty now. Most human researchers had been asked to leave. "The coalition is meeting tomorrow," Wook reported. "They're voting on something called the containment protocols." "Which means?" Liss asked. She was one of the few non-humans who had refused to join the coalition, earning her the hatred of her own people. "Complete isolation of humanity," Wook said. "No trade, no communication, no travel beyond Sol system. They want to pretend we don't exist. Like they did with the Keltaran," Hyejin added. "The Keltaran were wiped out," Liss pointed out. "Is the coalition planning genocide?" "They're considering it," Wook admitted. "Some species are arguing that persistence hunters are too dangerous to be allowed to exist." The emergency session of the Galactic Federation was the largest gathering in the organization's history. Over 300 species had sent representatives to New Geneva Station. The Great Hall buzzed with nervous energy as beings who had never spoken to each other before found themselves united by a single purpose: deciding what to do about humanity. Ambassador Minji stood in the human section, a small island of 12 people surrounded by thousands of aliens. She was a diplomat, not a soldier, but she had the same steady gaze that marked all humans. Her black hair was pulled back severely, and she wore a simple gray suit that made her look like she was attending a business meeting rather than a trial for her entire species. Beside her sat General Kiwan, the highest-ranking military officer humanity had sent. He was older than Minji, with silver hair and hands scarred from old battles. His presence was meant to reassure the aliens that humans took this seriously. Instead, it seemed to make them more nervous. Chancellor Zatep called the session to order. "We gather today to address the human question. In less than 1 year, this species has fundamentally changed the balance of power in our galaxy." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. "They have defeated our greatest enemy," continued a Zephyrian representative, "but in doing so they have shown us capabilities that terrify us." "They hunt," said Ambassador Quill, speaking for the Valerian delegation, "not for food, not for territory, but for the satisfaction of victory. They are persistence hunters who never stop, never give up, never show mercy." "They have corrupted our military thinking," added a Krathen representative. The once proud warrior species looked different now. Smaller, more careful, their eyes constantly moving as if watching for threats. "Our own people study their tactics. learning to think like predators instead of warriors. Minji rose to speak, but Chancellor Stepp held up a hand. The humans will have their chance to respond. First, we must hear all concerns. For 3 hours, species after species testified about their fears. The humans had explored more space in 6 months than the Federation had in 50 years. They solved problems through direct action instead of careful deliberation. They treated challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles to avoid. "They are changing us," said Ambassador Liss, the only Valerian to speak in humanity's defense. "But change is not always bad," spoken like someone who has been infected by their predatory thinking, replied the Rigelian delegate, his crystal body flashing angry red. Dr. Hyegen's research on predator psychology has spread throughout Federation space. Scientists who once studied cooperation now study competition. Diplomats who once sought compromise now prepare for conflict. Finally, Chancellor Zetep turned to the human section. "Ambassador Minji, the Federation has heard many concerns about your species. How do you respond?" Minji stood slowly, looking out at the sea of alien faces. Fear, anger, curiosity, and something else. Hope, perhaps, in the eyes of a few brave individuals. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the Great Hall. "Everything you have said about us is true." The admission sent shockwaves through the assembly. Many had expected denials, excuses, promises to change. "We are persistence hunters," Minji continued. "We don't give up when facing challenges. We see problems as prey to be tracked, cornered, and defeated. We compete with each other and with nature itself, always pushing to be better, stronger, more capable." "Then you admit your species is a threat to galactic peace?" Chancellor Zetep asked. "I admit we are different," Minji replied. "But I ask you to consider something. When was the last time your civilization achieved something truly great?" The question hung in the air like an accusation. "The Federation has existed for 1,000 years, Minji said. "In that time, you have created a stable, peaceful society. You have eliminated war, hunger, and disease from most of your worlds. These are wonderful achievements." "But," prompted Zetep, "but you have also eliminated growth, discovery, and progress. Your greatest accomplishments are behind you. Your newest colonies are centuries old. Your technology has barely advanced in decades. You have created the perfect society for prey animals, safe, stable, and slowly dying of stagnation." Angry voices erupted throughout the hall. Several delegates demanded Minji be removed for insulting the Federation. "Let her speak," called out a new voice. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was Admiral Korvek, the military officer who had witnessed humanity's victory over the Krathen. "Let us hear what the apex predator has to say." Minji nodded gratefully. "You fear us because we hunt. But what you don't understand is what we hunt for. Yes, we competed with each other on Earth. We fought wars, conquered territories, proved who was strongest. But we also hunted for knowledge. We hunted for ways to heal disease, to travel to distant worlds, to understand the universe itself." She activated a holographic display showing images from Earth. "We hunted the secrets of flight until we could soar through the sky. We hunted the mysteries of space until we reached the stars. We hunted cures for plagues that killed millions. We never stopped, never gave up, never accepted that something was impossible." "And what do you hunt now?" asked a delegate from the Crystal Collective. "We hunt for our place among the stars," Minji replied. "For ways to contribute to the galactic community. For challenges that will make us grow and become better than we are." General Kiwan stood up beside her. "But if you force us to choose between growth and survival, we will choose survival. And we are very good at surviving." The threat was subtle, but clear. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "Is that what this is?" "Chancellor," Zetep asked. "A threat?" "It's a fact," Kiwan replied. "If you try to cage us, we will break free. If you try to destroy us, we will fight back. If you try to limit us, we will find ways around those limits. Not because we want to hurt you, but because it's what we are." Then what do you propose? One asked Ambassador Liss. Minji took a deep breath. This was the moment everything would be decided. We propose a partnership. Not the slow, careful integration process you offered before. A real partnership where humans do what we do best, hunt for solutions to impossible problems, while you do what you do best, build stable, peaceful societies. And if we refuse, demanded the Rigelian delegate, then you'll face the consequences alone, Minji said simply. Before anyone could ask what she meant, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed and automated systems announced a code black alert, the highest level of danger. Admiral Korvek was receiving urgent communications through his implant. His face grew pale as he listened. What is it? Chancellor Zitep demanded. Long-range sensors have detected an invasion force approaching from outside the galaxy, Korvek reported. Estimated at over 10,000 ships, they're moving directly toward Federation core worlds. The hall erupted in panic. Delegates from dozens of species began talking at once, their voices creating a symphony of fear. Who are they? Someone called out. Unknown, Korvek replied. But their energy signatures suggest technology far beyond ours, and they're not responding to any communication attempts. Minji looked at General Kiwan, who nodded grimly. They had known this was a possibility. Human deep space sensors had detected unusual activity at the galaxy's edge months ago, but the Federation had dismissed their reports as unreliable. How long until they reach populated systems? Chancellor Zitep asked. At their current speed, 72 hours to the outer colonies, 1 week to reach New Geneva. The implications hit everyone at once. The Federation had been so focused on containing humanity that they had ignored a real threat approaching from the darkness between galaxies. Our fleets are scattered, reported a military aide. Most of our ships are here, surrounding the station. We can't possibly mount an effective defense. What about evacuation? Someone suggested. Where? Korvek asked bitterly. They're coming from outside the galaxy. There's nowhere to run. In the stunned silence that followed, Minji's voice cut through the fear like a blade. There is one option. Every eye in the hall turned toward her. Let us hunt them. The human fleet is 12 ships, Chancellor Stepp protested. What can you possibly do against 10,000? The same thing we did to the Krathen, General Kiwan replied. Fight like humans instead of like them. But you'll be outnumbered almost. 1,000 to 1, Admiral Korvek pointed out. Good, Minji said, and her smile was absolutely terrifying. That means they won't be expecting us. The debate that followed was the shortest in Federation history. With death approaching from the void, philosophical discussions about predator species seemed suddenly irrelevant. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, a human would command the Federation's combined military forces. General Kiwan stood before the assembled fleet commanders, his image broadcast to over 1,000 ships. Humans, Valerians, Zephyrians even, reformed Krathen, all united under human leadership. The enemy is coming, he said simply. They think they're hunting easy prey. They're wrong. Today, they meet predators who have learned to hunt among the stars. The battle began 3 days later at the edge of Federation space. The invaders called themselves the Devourers, and they had consumed 17 galaxies before turning their attention to the M.